Hi, this week on the Heroes, Villains, and Sidekicks Show, we'll be continuing our multi-part series on the origin of the Walking Dead's biggest baddie, Negan, and his deadly friend Lucille. And that's what we'll be doing on the Heroes, Villains, and Sidekicks Show. We'll be learning and talking about the origins and backstories of heroes and villains throughout the comic book universe and pop culture. Now, we're going to look at your popular characters, but we're also going to take a look at some obscure characters that you may have never heard of, but I think you'll really dig. Now, we're going to be continuing our multi-part series on the pretty much what is the origin of Negan. It's coming out through Image Plus, and which is a little monthly magazine that's coming out with like your comic order. I think you can pick these up on Amazon as well or your local comic shop. I order my books, of course, through DCB Service, and I just add that to my order and it comes in. So what we've been doing pretty much through parts 1 through 3 is only looking at 4 pages, because remember they come out in 4-page blocks in Image Plus. Well, I haven't done one in a while, and what I think I'm going to do is in this episode I'm going to take a look at the next 3 issues, so 4, 5, and 6. So instead of just doing 4 pages for the show, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break down actually 12 pages, because these 3 issues, 4, 5, and 6, the storyline really just flows. It sort of picks up really each block of 4 pages picks up right when the other one left off. So let's go ahead and let's look at issues 4 through 6, 12 more pages of Here's Negan. Issue 4 of Image Plus picks up right after the events of issue 3. But if you don't remember, let me give you a little bit of a primer to what happened. Let's just say that the bleep has just hit the fan. A doctor had just burst into Negan's wife's hospital room and told him to run. Negan then looks outside the window and he sees the dead attacking the living. So that was where we left off. And the neat thing about that is I automatically thought of the spin-off show, Fear the Walking Dead, which I'm totally loving. Now, what I love about it is I love seeing how all this stuff started. So I was thinking, this is just like Fear. We get to see more of how things broke down and how everything just went to crap. I find that almost more interesting than, when we're starting right in the middle of something. I mean, how did this happen? What occurred? How did society break down? To me, that's fascinating. So let's get into issue 4 and see where all this goes. We start with Negan just looking out the window and muttering under his breath that there must be something wrong with these people. He just sees there's something wrong with these people. Negan then hears a crash and he opens his wife's hospital room door to see a kid running past him, telling him to run. He closes the door and rolls a piece of hospital equipment to block the door. He looks scared. Now, page 2 really got to me. Negan sits at his wife's side. The shading on this panel is great. Negan says it's better that she's like this, that, when she wakes up, it'll all be over. But as he's speaking, he realizes that, she has passed away. And the next few panels are really interesting because you just see they're really moving to see him doing this, because we're used to this crazy remorseless looking Negan, but here he is lying across his wife's lying across her body, gripping the sheets and just crying. The tears are coming out of his eyes. And the last panel, we actually see him just sitting in a dark corner of the room, just quiet, just sitting there. And again, it's always interesting to see emotion coming from Negan. He's obviously an emotional person. He is very gregarious and very out there on the show and in the comic, but we've never seen these type of emotions coming from him. Anger born of sadness and fear and love. Now on page 3, Negan hears a boom like a crash from outside and investigates. There, with his hands pressed against the window, he watches as the world unravels. There's a car on fire, there's zombies all around, people are being ripped to shreds. It's a pretty gruesome scene. He's just staring at all of this. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. His wife is dead. She just died. When is she coming back? Now remember, in the show and in the comics, they've said that people sometimes come back anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes to a day. Well, Negan's wife comes back on page 4. So it's probably only about maybe 15 minutes, although we don't really know how long is he looking out the window. And in a gurgling half-page spread, she sort of reaches for him, and because she's all tangled up in wires and stuff in a respirator on the bed, she sort of falls out of the bed, gurgling and reaching towards him, and lands pretty hard on the floor. Negan looks horrified, and he leans over her and he whispers her name for the first time. He leans over and he says, "Lucille?" So wow, now I had a pretty good feeling that the bat was going to be named after his wife or maybe a daughter, but my money was on wife. So this thing that Negan uses to dole out justice, vengeance, and lessons with is named after someone he obviously, especially in the end, loved very deeply. Now that is even more disturbing to me, and I cannot wait to see him get the bat, because he obviously doesn't have it at this point. And why, when he does he start calling it Lucille, his dead wife's name. Now in issue 5, we pick up right where we left off. Again, remember these three issues really come off right after one another. Negan is terrified and confused. Lucille is on the floor. She can't really move because she's all wrapped up in tubes and stuff like her respirator, going down her throat. He bends down and gets in close, saying he doesn't believe this. It can't be real. He gets in closer and he waves his hand in front of her face and asks if she knows who he is, that he's her husband. But she just growls and gurgles and of course tries to attack him. Now he recoils in horror. Again, there's all that raw emotion coming off of him. He then leans in when he realizes that, something he can't do anything. It's really, really kind of painful to see. And he leans in, he tells her he's sorry, and he kisses her on the forehead, and he does something surprising. He leaves. I was thinking maybe he would, dispatch her, kill her, but again, he doesn't really know what's happening quite yet, so he just leaves. He can't bring himself to kill her. Now, on the last page here, he comes face to face with the horrors of the new world. He opens the door, and there are dead people everywhere in the hallway who haven't turned. And we also see, of course, some walkers. And we see the kid from issue 4, the kid who told him to run, trapped behind a gurney with a couple walkers trying to have him for lunch. He looks scared, and he looks at Negan, and he asks for help. So that was the end of issue 5. We have Negan coming face to face with the horrors of the new world, seeing his wife, something happening, she's come back, what is she, what's happening? He has no idea. So, onward to issue 6. Well, this issue is pretty much all action and a little bit more insight on who Negan is and what he's going to become. Negan attacks the walkers who are attacking the boy. And this is something maybe the Negan we know at this point wouldn't do, help somebody. He helps this kid. He's strong, but he's not prepared to fight these things that are very vicious, that just keep coming, and that he can't seem to hurt. Now the kid yells to him he needs to destroy their brains for them to stay down. Negan then handily puts them down with a fire extinguisher. And again, these are just a series of panels of Negan on this page just, bashing in a couple walkers' heads with a fire extinguisher. He then collapses, exhausted, and when the boy asks him if he's okay, Negan looks horrified and exclaims, "How can he be? He just murdered 2 people." So he's still looking at this like he's a murderer. He's murdered these people. The boy then tells him that you can't kill someone who's already dead. That's not murder. And that's what these people are. These people aren't who we remember. They're just reanimated corpses. They're the dead who come back to eat people. Negan can't believe that this is what's happening, but he has to. He just saw it with his own eyes, right? It's like what a lot of the people say, even in like Fear the Walking Dead especially, where the heroin addict kid, I can't remember his name, they ask about the neighbor, and he just handily says, she's dead. She's dead. That's what's wrong with her. And they know it's true, but they don't believe him. So it's this slow realization. So when the boy tells Negan all of this stuff, Negan asks the boy what he's talking about. And the kid looks at him like, what, have you been under a rock? This has been on the news for days and days. And he, of course, doesn't know anything about it. Negan knows nothing about it. And this is just how invested and preoccupied he is with his wife's illness, how he was. The zombie apocalypse was underway, and he missed it. Now he's smack dab in the middle of it. And this actually may be how Negan survived the initial days of the downfall of civilization. Yes, he's fit due to his job. He's a high school gym teacher, and he's like one of the fit ones, not like one of the just like the heavyset ones. He's strong and capable in that way. But I think the key to his survival was the information that he gets right off the bat. Unlike most, within the first 10 minutes of things going south, he knows that if you die, you come back. If you get bitten, you come back. And that you need to destroy the brain to put these monsters down. Now, most didn't have this knowledge, and I think back to the Walking Dead episode where the governor was on his own after the fall of his little town, and he's living with that family in an apartment. And the family's father comes back, reanimates after dying of just, I think, emphysema. He smoked too much. And the family didn't know that if you died, you just came back. And of course, the governor dispatches the dad. But if the governor wasn't there, that dad could have killed those people. So Negan, knowing that right off the bat, really saved his life. And of course, that was a pun. That is my first bat pun, I think. But it probably won't be my last. And now a quick word from our sponsor, DCBService.com, DiscountComicBookService.com. Again, I have been using these guys since 2004-ish, maybe 2005. I am going to look that up one day. And I love these guys. You go to their website, you can order right off the site. You can download an Excel sheet, that's what I do, and just scroll through that and fill it out. You order a previews and you can look through and see what you want to order. And here's the kicker. Everything 40% off. A lot of times 50% off. I'm on the website right now and I'm looking at some of the specials in the header over at DCBService.com. And here we've got 50% off. I'm just looking at some of the banners here. 50% off DC new miniseries 1 and 2, Vertigo and Young Animal bundles. So if you're interested in those, boom, 50% off for a bundle of all of them. Let's see, what do we have here? We've got monthly bundles up to 50% off. DC Universe Rebirth Variant Bundle. DC Kids Bundle. Marvel Kids Bundle. Valiant Bundle. DC Hanna-Barbera Bundle. DC Hanna-Barbera Annuals Bundle. Marvel Star Wars Bundle. And what that means is all the Star Wars that come out that month, 50% off all of them. So you check, I want that bundle, and you get those 50% off. What else do we have? Oh, this is interesting. American Gods, the Neil Gaiman story, number 1, 50% off, only $1.99. And something I have been looking very much forward to. I'm a huge Jeff Lemire fan. Royal City number 1, 50% off, only $2.49. So, and that isn't just this month. Next month, if it's not 50% off, it'll definitely be 40% off. So, really great sales, really a great way to save money. You order them, they mail them to you. You can get them once a month, you can get them twice a month, you can get them weekly. I get mine once a month. I get this nice big box of books, awesomely packed. I've never had a book damaged, wet. Everything is sealed up. It's fantastic. I've been using them a long time. Check them out. Great service. DCBService.com. DiscountComicBookService.com. Okay, so back to page 3 here of issue 6. Negan is sitting in the hallway, exhausted, and then he asks the kid if he could do him a favor. Negan tells the boy that there's actually one more of those things down the hall in a room, another walker. And he asks the boy if he could go take care of it for him. He's exhausted. We know the real reason, but he plays it off that he's exhausted. And the kid says sure, and he drags the fire extinguisher down the hall. And Negan, of course, he's just sitting here, just broken. He is, his hands are at his side, he's sitting there looking down. And again, it's very sad. Now, on the final page of issue 6, the kid has come back and he asks Negan if that was his wife. The kid's not stupid. And now again, Negan is sitting head down, and I know I keep saying this, but to see Negan so down and not in charge and not just in command of everything, how he feels is always strange for me. It still is. Negan, vacantly asks him, what did he say? What is he talking about? He's not really paying attention. And then the Negan we know reasserts himself a bit and says, listen, kid, we've all had a shitty day. Now let's get the fuck out of here. But he's not smiling. He's not showing all the bravado. He's not, doing this to be cool like we see in the comic, all smiles. He's looking down. He's grim, and the shading on the page he's almost in total darkness, and he is separated from the boy. And in that last panel, Negan looks sad and alone. Well, that was issues 4 through 6 of Image Plus, and we were reading through Robert Kirkman's storyline, Here's Negan, learning about the origin of Negan. And you know what? I think from now on, when I do these Negan story series, I'm going to do them in 12-page blocks. I think they just really flow nicely that way. So from now on, when we see a Negan story, we're going to be going ahead and doing 12 pages and not 4. Now, I'm pretty far behind at actually watching The Walking Dead over on AMC. I think I have about 4 episodes, maybe 3 episodes to catch up on. But I think I'm going to wait until it comes back from the mid-season break so that I can, I get to the end and I don't have to wait to see what happens. I can just, catch up right there. But I got to say, I'm really loving this show. And I'm never quite sure, I see a lot of people knocking it, saying it's horrible and I'm not going to watch it anymore. I mean, I think the acting is great on it. The dialogue is great. The story is great. I mean, the effects are awesome. And as a comic reader, it's really neat to see how they change things up from the comic, what they add, what they take away. And, we are living in the golden age of geek television. I mean, just the fact we get to see a weekly zombie television show of this character, I mean, it's just great stuff. Well, I want to thank you for listening to the show today. And you can, of course, go over to the website and listen to the show, or better yet, you can head over to iTunes and subscribe and leave a review. Now, I know people are listening out there, so if you have a minute, whether you subscribe via iTunes? No, iTunes or not, head over there and leave us a review. The more reviews we have, the higher up the show moves in the ranks in iTunes, and that really just helps people learn about the show. And I'm really happy to say we have been starting to getting some reviews on iTunes. And I want to thank I Am the Cannonball and Danger Ford for leaving reviews. And actually, Danger Ford brought up the fact that the episodes are all different times. There's, some are longer, some are shorter. And I've actually been wondering if I need to normalize the length of the show. Like, let's say the show is an hour, or a half hour to 35 minutes. Something more standard. Now, part of me, doesn't really want to do this because, it gives me the opportunity to just sort of talk and sort of go over the stuff I need to do. I don't want to have to add more just to make it an actual half an hour. But of course, most shows and most things like that on television and some of a lot of the podcasts I listen to are a set time, like a half an hour. So if, I'd like to hear your opinion. If you get a chance, actually head over to the site and you can leave a comment on the episodes page for this post. Go over there. You can go to our Facebook page. We've got a lot of listeners over there, a lot of likes. I think we're up to like 1,1600 likes. So you can always head over there and tell me what you think. I'm of a mind to keep it sort of freewheeling. However long it goes. But again, I'd like to make the show into the best thing I can, and if that means a set time, that's something I can work on. So again, I'd love to hear what you think about that. So again, head over to iTunes, subscribe and leave a review. Head over to the site and leave some comments. And if you'd like to hear the backstory and origin of a superhero, a villain, or a sidekick, you can head over to our homepage. And if you scroll down a little bit, there's a little web form. You fill it out and you say, I'd like to hear about this character or that character, maybe a little comment on why. You can leave your name, or you don't have to. If you do leave your name, I'll, of course, mention it when we do that show. I think one of the next few podcasts we're going to be doing are on obscure Flash villains. And I've got a few posts out there on some of the other sort of comic book geek Facebook pages, and some people have been giving me some really great ideas, and I'll post that on our Facebook page. Well, again, I want to thank you for listening. This has been a really fun episode. It's great learning all about Negan and how he came to be. We'll be back next week with more. Take care.